All right, on to 2018. And teams are allowed to add a 10th coach to the coaching staff. Alex Grinch is the selection of Urban Meyer, defensive coordinator at Washington State. And if you don't know much about Washington State football, it's been upgraded tremendously by Mike Leach in the win column. And much of that has to do not with the passing game, because that's pretty much always been there, although it's more efficient than it was prior to Mike Leach, but in regards to defense. And Alex Grinch has taken it a woeful defense, one of the worst in Power 5 football, one of the worst in the FBS, as low in FBS football as 117, and made it respectable. So now you add Alex Grinch and what he could bring to an Ohio State defense that's obviously ultra talented, Tony.
I think when people first hear Washington State and defensive coordinator, they don't really get too excited. I had, fans hitting me up on Twitter saying, why would Ohio State go after this guy? And this was just when he was rumored to be linked to Ohio State. And I would tell them, go look at the numbers. Go look at what he's done for their pass defense, pass efficiency defense. Because you never equate Washington State in it probably history, to stellar defense. But that's what they were able to do under Grinch. And that's what he'll do at Ohio State as well. You look at, like you said, the talent. They'll have NFL corners, NFL safeties, and this is a guy who has excelled in pass defense and building a pass defense, and that's something that Ohio State struggled in at times this season. You look at the Indiana game to start the season. They throw for over 400 yards. Baker Mayfield, the second game of the season, he throws for 350 or whatever. So that pass defense as a whole was an issue at times this year. Alex Grinch will help that, and honestly, he was probably going to be the guy to take over for Greg Schiano, and then they would have to go get another assistant to be that 10th coach. But him as the 10th coach right now, they don't even have they said his responsibilities, they'd figure them out later. And this is one of those guys. It's sort of like recruiting. If you can get this, immensely talented defensive tackle, you don't have room for him, you go get him and you figure it out later. Like they went and got Alex Grinch, an Ohioan from Mount Union, from Central Ohio, and then you figure out what you're going to do with them later.
Absolutely. Guys have specialties, but you get the best minds and the best coaches and teachers in the room, and then you figure it out from there. They all know football, and they know people, and they know how to teach. Red zone defense, exceptional at Washington State last year. What that tells me is he knows how to teach situational football and get his guys ready for knowing situations. Maybe that's not something Ohio State excelled in last year. But again, as Tony mentions, look at the metrics at Washington State and compare them, not just take them on face value, but compare them to prior to Alex Grinch. And it's remarkable. The Washington State defense was laughable, awful, just basically paper thin, 7-on-7 drills kind of stuff. And then you look at it now, and yes, they had their couple letdowns a year, but they didn't have the personnel Ohio State does.
Right.
And they performed extremely well against a capable conference that throws the ball all over the place.